Warning, this video contains graphic content that may be disturbing to some viewers. It includes depictions of crime, abuse, torture, and death. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This is the crime case on which game Bad Parenting is based on. Bad Parenting is a game made on a child that had bad childhood. I don't know if you believe in paradise or not, but every single one of you will agree that the childhood is the closest thing to it that we all have experienced. Like there are no worries, you are loved by everyone, and that's undoubtedly the best time of a person's life, but sometimes, unfortunately, it's not the case with everyone. The case based on game Bad Parenting is the case of Gabriel Fernandez. Gabriel Daniel Fernandez was born on February 20th, 2005 to his father Arnold Contreras and mother Pearl Fernandez. His father Arnold Contreras was criminal, so he was in and out of the jail. He had two siblings, brother Ezekiel and sister Virginia. Pearl already had two children, Ezekiel and Virginia, and she didn't want to have another child, so she was thinking about getting an abortion, but her uncle, Michael Lemos Carranza, forced her not to take an abortion and asked her to give Gabriel to him. She agreed. After she gave birth to Gabriel, she called her uncle and said, "Take your son, he is already getting on my nerves." Shortly after he was born, Gabriel was put into the custody of his gay uncle on his mother's side, Michael Lemos Carranza, and his partner David Martinez, who raised him up until he was 4 years old in 2009. But due to Gabriel's grandfather's objection to his uncle's same-sex relationship, he moved in with his grandparents. They didn't like that Gabriel was being raised by gay men, and they made these claims that they were turning him gay because they were gay. So Gabriel lived with his grandparents Robert and Sandra up until 2012, when his mother Pearl got the custody. She didn't have anything to do with Gabriel but to gain welfare benefits so that she can support her lifestyle with that money. She was eventually granted the custody despite the concerns that she was neglectful towards the other children, and despite objections from family members, Gabriel moved in with his mother and her boyfriend Izaro Aguirre. Izaro Aguirre was a security guard, and he didn't have any criminal record, and Pearl had been described by family members as an abusive, and it had been noted that she had a history of domestic violence directed at her partners. Both Ezekiel and Virginia were so happy that now 3 of them will play together, and Gabriel was also happy to be with his siblings and mother. They shared toys. They were playing and doing things kids do. Few days in, Pearl started to ask him to do things like cleaning toys of both other children. We can say it's normal, but with few days past she started to ask him to do things generally adults would do, like cleaning the litter box. They started calling him gay, in the mocking way, just because he was raised first for years of his life by 2 gay men. I don't think that he even remember the time spent with his gay uncle, cause he was 4 years old, and now Pearl and Izaro also started to beat poor kid when he didn't obey his parents, like if he fails to do a task Pearl asked him to do, or refused to do it, he would get beating, and they would constantly call him gay slurs, on top of everything. It slowly became Pearl asked him to do, to Pearl command him to do, they started using him as their slave and a punching bag. Gabriel just wanted to be loved, but instead he was being abused. Pearl was a narcissist and used to think she is supreme than everyone, and this whole Gabriel slavery was feeding her feeling of being supreme, and she would also use Izaro as her dog and make him beat Gabriel. She was manipulative. Izaro did what she asked because he wanted to stay in relationship at all cost with her, but again, you got your own brain. It's a child you are beating. I forgot to mention, he was a student of 2nd grade, and he was regular to school. Now an important person comes in this case, Jennifer Garcia. She was Gabriel's second-grade teacher. One day, at school he said to his second-grade teacher Jennifer Garcia, "That is it normal for your mother to hit her child, using belt, the metal part?" He said, "And is it normal for you to bleed?" Jennifer got concerned and immediately contacted Child Protective Services CPS and reported Gabriel's claims. The case was assigned to social worker Stephanie Rodriguez. The next day, she went to check up on Gabriel, along with her team. Pearl opened the door. They told their purpose of being there. Usually they used to interview child alone, but in this case victim was being interviewed in front of his alleged abuser, Pearl. Stephanie asked him did his mom hit him. He said he made the whole story up, obviously due to fear of his mother. Then they examined his body to find any signs of abuse. She found a bruise on his buttock, to which Pearl admitted that she hit him with a belt. Despite this, the only outcome to this was taking drug test of both Pearl and Izaro, because on the topic of drugs in class Gabriel pretended how to do them in front of classroom. Izaro and Pearl passed the drug test. CPS coming to home backfired on Gabriel and torture got even swear from here on. From here Gabriel looked unhappy in the end of school and even said his teacher that he don't want to go home. Now, visible signs of torture were noticeable on Gabriel, like one day he went to school with chunks of his hairs missing and a busted lip. When asked he said my mom punched me in the mouth. And this image you're seeing was taken by Jennifer Garcia as an evidence from that same day. Jennifer thought that issue of Gabriel was resolved because she reported it to CPS already. But after seeing him in that condition, she got devastated and immediately called Stephanie. She didn't answer the phone. The next day Jennifer called and she asked about first visit, but she said it's confidential and can't be disclosed, so she reported new injuries. Due to new report and visible injuries on him, she went to Pearl's apartment again, but she again did interview in front of Pearl and again same thing happened. She asked Gabriel, is everything alright? Scared of his mom, he said there's no issue. When asked Pearl about swollen lip, she said he bit his lip and enlarged it by poking it. Again, no actions were taken by CPS. One day, Pearl saw Gabriel playing with his sister's toys and was made fun of for doing so, and they started putting girls' clothing on him around the house as a humiliation. Again, he was called gay slurs, and they used him as they pleased, just to fill Pearl's narcissism, without considering that injuries are getting more and more visible, and CPS has already visited 2 times, and they can't be this lucky every time. Pearl realized it, and to prevent CPS she took some actions. She trained her other 2 children, Ezekiel and Virginia, to lie to CPS if they visited again. Talking about Ezekiel and Virginia, this whole torture was going in front of both. Pearl even asked them to punch or hit Gabriel. Once Ezekiel was asked to punch Gabriel by Pearl, to which Ezekiel whispered in his ear to fell off, an act that he hit him. They did accordingly. As a reminder, both siblings were children themselves. Ezekiel was 12 years old and Virginia was 10 years old. So, there was nothing they could do about it because they were threatened to be treated as Gabriel. And to further hide his injuries, she made him miss school when the bruises were more severe. When asked from Pearl, why is Gabriel missing school, she would make excuses like he went to his grandparents for a while, and often used makeup to hide scars so that people don't see obvious signs of torture, all this to avoid CPS. One day, he came to school with his eyes swollen and his forehead skin peeling. When Jennifer asked the cause, he said that my mother shot me with a BB gun. Jennifer called Stephanie to confront her on her negligence. But again, no actions were taken. Day by day, Gabriel's hope to be saved got less and less, and torture got severe and severe to the point that he was forced to eat cat litter. Generally, when not able to clean litter box, and also was forced to eat feces, and when he vomited after eating those disgusting things, he was forced to eat that vomit too. He was regularly beaten, which caused broken bones and bruises. He was burned in various parts of his body with cigarettes, but it was not enough for those 2 maniacs. They would take a BB gun and shot him in areas of his body including his face and his groin, and he was forced to wear girls' clothing. He was forced to sleep in a small cupboard in his parents' bedroom, and it was locked up with handcuffs. And they would also wrap a bandana around his mouth and sometimes put sock in his mouth. Izaro would use to hit him with the belt, the metal part, on arms and legs, and sometimes he would use a metal hanger. Once Izaro hit him with a bat, knocking out his teeth. A lot of blood came out of his mouth. One day, he was pepper sprayed in the bathroom by Izaro Ague and locked in. They sometimes used to forced poor kid to eat spoiled and expired foods, but most of the time he wasn't fed at all. That's why signs of malnourishment were visible on him. I mentioned earlier that Pearl also had 2 more children, Ezekiel and Virginia. You might be thinking, how were they treated? Although Pearl reportedly punched Virginia once in the face, but they were never abused or tortured. But the abuse of Gabriel was watched by both children, which also is a really bad thing, and the whole torture story that I told was actually revealed by both Ezekiel and Virginia because they were the only witnesses. The motive behind just to abuse Gabriel, despite 2 more children in the house, was because they believed Gabriel was gay. According to Gabriel's siblings, their mother and stepfather would laugh at him during the abuse. When all this was going on, their teacher held a project in school. On Mother's Day, teacher asked Gabriel if he wants to join. Despite regularly suffering in the hands of his mother, he agreed because he wanted to make his mother happy and change the way she treats him. In project he made this house, on which there is door and above is written, "Open the door to see who loves you." And when you open it, there's a portrait of Gabriel, and when you turn the page, there are some cards. One says, "My mom is special because she is a loving mom and I love her because she is beautiful." And one card that says, "Happy Mother's Day. This coupon good for a time for me and you." And here's Gabriel holding letters MOM for the same project, and yeah, he looked like this at the time of peak of abuse and torture. Just look at that forced smile. You might be thinking, how come he was not saved when he looked like this, and there should be way more reports? Well, there were over 60 reports that were made during this time period by neighbors, family members, and members of public to 2 departments, DCFS and Sheriff's Police Department, and in total 8 visits were made, but still DCFS failed to protect him, even when he looked like this. The worst part about this all was DCFS's end report. It was that Gabriel is angry and rude to teachers. Who told them this? Well, Pearl did, and they didn't even confirmed it from school. And regards to Izaro, they described him as an upstanding and caring adult with no criminal record, and they wrote in report that there was no risk to Gabriel's safety and recommended to close his case. On Wednesday the 22nd of May 2013, Gabriel was told to pick up toys that were on the floor. When he didn't do accordingly, his mother Pearl dragged him into a bedroom, where she was joined by her partner, Izaro Aguirre. Ezekiel didn't saw, but Virginia saw everything. As a reminder, she was only 10 years old at the time, and was in the room where Gabriel was getting tortured that day. She was sitting on the edge of the bed. Pearl and Izaro were punching Gabriel. He knocked the air out of him, and he fell over, and he didn't got back up. So they picked him up, they threw him in the shower, and they kept yelling at him to wake up. And when he didn't woke up, Pearl called 911.
911 emergency.
Yes, I would like to, my son is not breathing.
Your son is what?
He's not breathing.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to transfer you over to the fire department. Don't hang up.
My son is 8 years old.
It's your son, okay. And
Yes.
he's not breathing?
No.
Is he having a seizure?
No, he was wrestling with my other son, and I came in, and he just was unconscious.
Okay, do you have the paramedics on the way right now? Are you right there with him?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I'm just doing the compulsion from the chest right now.
Okay,
and
you
I
need
just
to
feel
breathe for him. If he's not breathing, you need to do 2 breaths and 30 compressions. Just need you to keep doing that until the paramedics come, okay? They're on their way. They'll come in as fast as they can.
She told Virginia to clean the blood before the paramedics arrived to make it look less bad, but the damage was already done. Both police and paramedics arrived at the scene within minutes. Gabriel, by this point, had been dragged from the shower and dumped naked, wet and unconscious on the living room floor. The paramedics began to work on Gabriel and instantly saw signs of abuse and torture all over his body. While paramedics worked on Gabriel, deputies questioned Pearl and Izaro to what had happened to Gabriel. Pearl said that Gabriel was jumping on a bed, playing with his brother, and as he was jumping, he fell off the bed and hit his head on a drawer. Both of them were described as not concerned for the well-being of Gabriel and were very uninterested in whole situation. When they asked Izaro why the boy had so many injuries on his body, Izaro told the police that Gabriel was gay. Deputy said, "That's not the answer." Then he said, "He is very angry boy and used to hit himself a lot. You almost took the life of an 8-year-old child and then felt that it was necessary to speculate on him being gay as an excuse." Gabriel was rushed to Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Neither Pearl nor Izaro went with the ambulance and were completely indifferent. At hospital, doctors, nurses, and whoever saw him were horrified by what they saw. Doctors started treatment. There were over 50 injuries all over his body. These included a skull fracture, multiple broken ribs, missing teeth which had been knocked out, bruising and cuts all over his face, multiple cigarette burns over his body, BB gun pellets were found inside his lung and groin, and cat litter was found in his stomach. This little boy spent his last weeks in constant pain. Gabriel didn't make it. The official autopsy declared him brain dead. The system failed Gabriel. Pearl and Izaro were arrested and the trial began. Judge called people that were witnesses and related to the case. One of them was Gabriel's teacher, Jennifer Garcia. She found a note on Gabriel's desk after he passed away.
Gabriel's teacher reads a note she found hidden in the 8-year-old's desk a few days after she learned of his brutal death.
"I love you, Mom, and Gabriel is a good boy."
And this is the note that was found on Gabriel's desk. You can see it for yourself. "I love you, Mom, and Gabriel is a good boy." His love for his mom was true. Despite what she put him through, he was really trying hard to make his mother proud. We will come back to Pearl and Izaro. First, let's talk about social workers' trial. Social workers Stephanie Rodriguez and Patricia Clement, as well as their supervisors, Kevin Baum and Gregory Merritt, were each charged with 1 felony count of child abuse and 1 felony count of falsifying public records. Obviously their negligence was visible, but they were not given any prison time. Only thing happened to them was they were fired from their jobs. Now back to Pearl. This is what Pearl had to say in court.
You just keep your voice up so everybody can hear you, all right? All right.
I want to say I'm sorry for my family for what I did. I want to say I'm sorry for this, what happened. I wish you was alive. Every day I wish that I made better choices. I'm sorry to my children, and I want them to know that I love them. And I hope one day they will forgive me. And I hope one day they will come to the sense of, come to me.
The audio is not that clear. She pretty much said, "I want to say I'm sorry to my family for what I've done. I want to say sorry for what happened. I wish Gabriel was alive. Every day I wish that I'd made better choices. I'm sorry to my children, and I want them to know that I love them, and I hope one day they'll forgive me, and I hope one day they will come to their senses and come to me." Now, I will show you judge giving sentence to Pearl and Izaro. Gabriel's biological father also came in court just to hear his son's murderers getting sentenced.
Today, Gabriel's biological father, who's serving time for robbery and other charges and says he feels guilty for not being there for his son, was brought into the courtroom and asked to watch the sentencing in his cell.
On February 15, 2018, the defendant, Pearl Cynthia Fernandez, entered a plea to murder in the first degree. Accordingly, it is the judgment and sentence of this court that the defendant shall be sentenced to a term of life in prison without the possibility of parole for the underlying. Mr. Isario Aguirre, it is a judgment and sentence of this court that for the crime of murder in the first degree, defendant Isario Aguirre shall be put to death within the walls of the California State Prison at San Quentin of the County of Los Angeles without bail, to be delivered by him within 10 days from today's date, June 7th, 2018, to the warden of the State Prison of the State of California at San Quentin.
Just to be clear, Pearl was given life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. and Izaro Aguirre was given death sentence, and now he is 44 years old and will wait for his execution until he is dead in his prison cell. So, was this case actually based on the game? Although game itself does not claim that it is based on this or any other case, we can say this is the closest case to game bad parenting because of major similarities. In game, the main character Ron forced himself to live in lie, even he deep down knew the reality that his father is abusive, and Ron tried to love him until he took Ron's life, same as Ron. Gabriel also was forcing himself to live in lie, even he deep down knew reality that his mother is abusing and torturing him, and Gabriel tried to love her, which can be seen through his Mother's Day card and final note found on his desk. In the end, she took Gabriel's life. In game, Ron's mother was filled with guilt that she was not there for Ron. Same Arnold, the biological father of Gabriel, was filled with guilt that he was not there for his son. Mr. Redface, the father in the game, Ron's father, was abusive, and in Gabriel's case his mother was abusive. These three similarities are the reason many think it's based on this case, and I can't blame them. I mean, that's the three main characters of the game, and they all somehow match this crime case's three main characters. Leave a bird emoji in comments in remembrance of Gabriel, and please subscribe to my channel. Turn on the bell icon so you don't miss a video. Share this video with your friends and family, and leave a like. Thanks for watching.